everyone. Today we have a very interesting guest in SM Studios. I have Yatin with me today in the studio, and Yatin and his team are working on this very interesting product. And I myself saw a video of the product just a couple of days back because it makes. So why I say it's interesting is because it makes the lives of so many of us, almost everyone, far more convenient. And I was fascinated when I saw the video of that product. So that's why I'm very excited to talk to Yatin about his journey about building Nosh, the company that is making these products. So welcome Yatin to SM Studios. Very excited to have you in the studio today.
Yatin, thanks for having me, and really excited. Super Morpheus and Samir has been our bouncing board for a lot of things that we do and a lot of tough decisions we go through. So yeah, really excited sharing my journey and learn from each other.
Awesome. So Yatin, maybe shall we first start by you just telling us about the product, like what is the product? I'm sure many of us would love to know what the product is and what it does. So let's maybe start with that.
Yeah. So Nosh is a autonomous cooking robot. It's a RoboChef that is like a first of its kind in the world, where you load the chopped ingredient, command it to cook. It follows the recipe and cook completely automatically. So it actually does your spice as per the recipe. Like take the spice as per the recipe, water as per the recipe, oil as per the recipe, heat as per the recipe. So it's like your kind of hand that moves as per the recipe and cook a food for that. So so essentially it like you do, once you load it in, you can do whatever you like. Like you can go for yoga, you can go for gym. And it will cook for you, right? So it's a first of a kind cooking robot.
Wow, I mean, I can totally imagine this being very useful for so many of us. Especially people like us, young and staying in the city, not having these big family structures. Like for our times, I can totally see why this product is very relevant. But I would love to know that for you, I know you're from Gujarat, right? Like Gujarat loves its food, and what was the turning point which kind of started or kind of incubated this idea in your head कि इसमें कुछ बनाते हैं for this?
So post marriage, I was doing consulting and my wife was just started working. So we were both busy, so we tried cooks. And it used to happen that my wife put a lot of time teaching him or her the way to cook Gujarati food, and then she leaves, right? So it became very hard for us to get the taste we wanted, and we decided that we only will cook. So I, not being trained, used to not help my wife in the kitchen, always be there, but it was not useful. I was not useful. And I realized that I used to get a lot of scolding that I don't know basic stuff in cooking. And that's what I started thinking is, what if I use my strength and develop a robot which will cook automatically? So that was like a main, that she did the idea. Obviously it went with a lot of days, and then I spoke to a lot of people, realized that whenever someone moves a city or move to a new city and a nuclear family, right? These kind of problems are very common, and they are easily available, but may not cook as per your food requirement, taste requirement, diet requirement. And that's where this problem exists. So so convenience is always a part, but for us the most important part was personalization and having large variety of food that you can get different kind of recipes. Like right now we have 300 plus recipes. So you can get your original food, you can get multi-cuisine food, like you can get Mexican, Italian, whatever you want to cook through one device, right? That is the beauty of Nosh. So, but why I started, the primary reason was food as per my taste was the main reason to start Nosh.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So one of the questions that kind of struck me when you were talking about this is that India and Bangalore in general, we hear of many software startups, right? Like tech startups. जब हम बात करते हैं तो generally it's a software startup. But what fascinated me was that when I saw this product, I was like, wow, it's a hardware product, and it's not like a straightforward hardware. Like थोड़ा complex hardware hai. And of course it's a mix of software and hardware, but taking that brave step, in my head it's a brave step, right? Like when most of the ecosystem is focusing on software, to take that bold step and to say ki hardware mein kuch karna hai, and to build something like this, which I'm sure is not very straightforward. So I wanted to know ki when, like, were you jittery when you said ki acha hardware startup India se banana hai, and something which is of course it can be used across the world, but made for Indians. So what's that journey been like, or what was were there any trepidations ki hardware India mein kar rahe hain? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so very simple. I'll tell why hardware startup, right? So from childhood, I was always excited about robots, buying different toys, breaking it, understanding it, right? So that was my childhood. I played with a lot of electronics, and that's why I chose electronics as my subject in BTech, and then went for masters in that, right? So I used to build a lot of projects on electronics, and hardware was my fascination from childhood. So always wanted to do something in hardware, and what all we can do with hardware, right? At very early stage when I was in college, I was like, a lot of things I can do with my limited knowledge, but why those things don't exist in the world, right? That was my one something I was always thinking about. And my master's when I did at IISc, I realized that actually I got good product orientation, like how to think. So from the project that I used to build regularly, right, I got the product orientation, and I wanted to build hardware products, right? I want to build something in the hardware, and that's where I was not afraid of hardware so much, but also I was not knowing how hard it is, right? So in a way it was like कि करना तो था, but funding उसका कितना difficult है, would people able to trust a guy attempting doing hardware in a sea of software startup, right? वो सब सोचा नहीं था actually, so it was like fascinations and some stupidity to do hardware startup.
You need that stupidity, right? Yeah. hota hi nahi hai.
In fact, I remember when I started, one of my very close friend who works in appliance company, right? And he told me, you are attempting this because you really don't know how hard it is.
Now, this reminds me of this quote by Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA guy, who's like, the biggest strength that founders often have is the ignorance, right? The fact that you don't know how hard it is one of your biggest strengths, right? So this is actually very interesting what you said.
And specifically, so they're like, so this kind of thing, right? It's called future vision kind of products. So for future vision products, actually stupidity is essential, I would say, right? Because if you are aware about everything, you will not attempt it.
Absolutely. yeah, it's fantastic. So how has that? Like you said that you weren't aware kitna difficult hoga, right? Whether it is funding, whether it is. So how hard has it been, and what's the journey been like starting a hardware startup in India?
Yeah, so we started. So I had previous hardware startup experience where I was not the co-founder but the key team member, right? And we were doing the smart backpacks, right? So I got to know a lot of things like quality, manufacturing, certification. So those all exposure I had. And when I started this, I was like, it will take 3 years for me to build this product and maybe launch the first version of it. But it was not that easy, right? So it took 6 years plus to get first production units to the customer. And if I look back, right, the first challenges were getting the mechanism right for dealing with wide variety of food. So food automation as such exists in a factory context, right? You have a lot of food factories which are automated, but they deal with one type of food, like Maggi bana rahe to Maggi bana rahe, right? So that and it is manual plus automated, like it is mix of both. When we were doing all those things, the biggest challenge is it has to be versatile. It should one hand handle like something like onion, tomato, veggies. Then you have leaves like coriander leaves or palak, right? Those. It has to handle meat, everything, like and everything has different shape, size, texture, and it has to be nicely done. So spices, right? You have like a different type of spices, and when you dispense, it has to be accurate, super accurate, because little bit of it can change the taste. So achieving that accuracy was the first. Technically, those were the problem. Second set of problem was like getting the taste right? So how do you control the heat so that taste is not compromised? It feels like, okay, you have induction, it is doing same thing, but when you do it in automatic way, right, you have a lot of limitations, like the hand movement of doing this or this, right? It's quite a versatile motion, like you are watching and doing, right? Where we had to do it, like robots can't understand everything of it. So that was also a challenge. Then getting food consistent, right, through firstly without ingredient variation, and then secondly when your ingredient also vary. Your tomato you buy today, tomato you buy tomorrow, right? Those vary. So having the machine vision, AI to figure it out, those are all technically complicated problems. So and we have divided into smaller chunks and then solve one by one. That has been the idea. I think the hardest part of building hardware startup is fundraising, because no one believes that hardware companies can be built from India, or there are very few success stories. So very few people believe that a hardware company can develop good product, make it successful, right? Is very low. So that has been one of the challenges. And how we approach it, like maybe right or wrong, but our approach was keep building prototype by prototype, keep showing the progress to the investors, and keep raising. So for us, the lucky part was we got almost about 1 crore from various government grants, and that helped us do initial prototypes. At least I can show something working, right? Then it becomes easier to raise, because I think the largest thing is people don't trust that hardware can be built so well in India. So that is something we have to demonstrate, and it is hard part because you have to do it with very less funding, right? So that has been the really challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
Post the first product build to now, right? The biggest challenge has been making user friendly, getting acceptance, people really loving it, right? So our working prototype, right? We started doing trial from 2021. 2021, early 2021, we have started doing trials.
Okay.
And we kept on building, took it to users, they use it, give feedback, we correct it, again do the same thing, right? And hardware iterations are not easy. It takes time. So this is some approach we have taken, that we have continuously taken user feedback, incorporated, put it in, give an improved version.
So the current model that you're selling is what version?
It's almost 8 version of the
Wow.
Nosh. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how many people are using it right now, the product?
Right now, 100 people are using it. We have 100 deployments, 102 to be specific. So those number of people have gotten it. They are using it. We are getting a really great feedback. Some people are completely depending on it for their all daily meals.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
So, and I remember one quote by a person. They are like a large joint family, and there used to be a lot of food quarrels because someone wants to eat this, someone wants to eat that, and there was a tension environment in the home. And the moment Nosh came in, here they are saying that if you don't like this, you cook on Nosh.
Wow.
Right? Like whatever you want to do, there are 300 recipes. Whatever you want, you can cook in Nosh and not have quarrels.
Wow. That's a lovely compliment to have for the product.
So,
how old is the company? When did we start?
2018 is when we got started.
Okay. And 2021 was when you shipped the first.
21 is when we started user trial. Right? And so our approach of building has been like, don't trust their idea, go to customer. Like, don't trust your ideas, go to customer and check. Right? So I remember even 2019 and around, right? So we had we wanted to build something where like you can boil chole and then put it in the pan and it will mix everything. And we had a form factor which is a little larger. So we made an empty box, ship it to a customer and say, how do you feel about this lying in a kitchen? So every time we get an idea, we always took it to customer and then say that, is it working well for you or not working well for you? So we have very customer driven development approach is something that we have taken.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it's been 6 years since we started. So how has the journey been for you, Yatin? I mean, and I'm kind of trying to understand this a little more personally now. We hear about startup founders having and their own evolution happens through the process of starting and scaling a company. So would love to know what the journey has been for you at a personal level, starting and building this, because like you said, building a startup itself is difficult. It's not easy. And then you're also doing something that is, building a hardware startup, which is probably even more difficult, right? So how has that journey been for you at a personal level? How has it helped you evolve?
Yeah, so I'll start my journey from my previous startup where I was not a founder but very early member of the team. So the startup was called Lumos, and that gave me good understanding of how hardware works, right? And I think the pivotal moment for me during that time was I went to meet Kumar Rangarajan, who is one of the co-founder of Tejas Network. So when we were sitting there, and we were discussing a lot of things, their business, our business, and he put one quote saying that control your controllables. So it's like whatever is in your hand, you try to control it. Whatever is not in your hand, don't worry about it, right? And he gave example of they compete with Huawei, and he's like, tomorrow Huawei launch something, and maybe my current product is not up to the mark. It should not worry me. Like it should. I just see that okay, if they have this, what do I do so that I can reach there, right? So whatever is in it should not that you keep thinking what would Huawei next step would be. Instead, you think what should be your next step would be, right? So that kind of gave the entire philosophical background to whatever I did, right? So Coming to this startup,
So just can you give me an example of this philosophy that you talked about? Can you give me some examples of how you have incorporated that in, and how that has helped you in this journey?
yeah. So I think the funding is the classic example, right? Like now you are doing hardware, you are trying to build a future vision kind of product which people don't even believe can exist, right? So and you go and pitch this idea, then you get rejects, right? And then the first thing that comes is discouragement. You feel like, okay, should I keep doing it? People are not giving me money, people are not billing, what should I do, right? So then the way of control your controllables is you keep building, evolving your product, your prototypes, which is close to the future reality. And second is get interest from customers, right? So, and that's why 2021 itself we did pre-order campaign where we were good 2 years away from, at least that time we felt that we are 2 years away from a production ready version. But we did a pre-order campaign, got a 700 plus pre-orders.
Wow.
So
this was in 2021.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
was also COVID year.
COVID year.
Yeah.
So 2021 end time, like September, October, November. So things were little back. There was still COVID. A lot of people were in hometown. But I think there is some kind of the second wave was past. I think that's where we did this campaign. But the idea is that if you have the you keep evolving and giving the data and confidence, right? So you don't think about what they are thinking, but you think about what you can do, right? So that has been the way of thinking for us, right? And see, most of our problems that we have tackled are all technically complex problems, and lot of time like one classic example, right? Like you can't have one model which is intelligent for all the ingredients, right? Like you want to make sure when the ingredient varies, your food comes out great. You can't have one model that works for everything. You have to keep building the models, right? And whenever you build model for the ingredient, those recipes you can provide in Nosh. So let's say classic example, right? So Bindi was not there till 3 months back because Bindi model was not ready. Now it has gotten ready, so we have launched Bindi based recipes. So that has been the approach of doing it. So yeah, like always think what you can do so that you can achieve it, whatever you want to achieve, or be aware, right? Saying that, like essentially हिंदी में बोले तो टेंशन मत लो, अपने से जो होता है वो करो. Like जो हमको दिख नहीं रहा है, that you should not worry. Like which are not, like markets are not under our control. Right? Market will react based on, like market keeps changing, right? Market can evolve, and we should have a watch of it, but we should not keep worrying about it also. Same with investors or fundraising scenarios. Maybe downtown aa gaya, it can happen. But what we can do best at this time is the thing we should do.
I think that's honestly very powerful advice. When I was just reflecting on this for myself, right? I mean, a lot of us, I think, have this tendency to think about what can happen, think about probabilities, worry about it. When I think of myself, right? But I think it's very powerful advice where you basically, like control, like think about what you can control and just work on that, and for the rest, let the universe figure out what the right thing is, because it's not in your control in any case.
So it's still, you have to keep, like when it's a market or fundraising, you have to keep watch on it, right? But it's not like you are tense because of that, right? So you approach it from very practical, way, I would say.
I'm just curious, is this also like, I mean, Gujjus are, of course, you're a Gujju, right? Like, and Gujjus are known for creating businesses. Is this the Gujju way of creating businesses also in general?
Yeah, so I think so there's a so like my thing, right? Why I exited the job and joined a small startup, right? It was mainly because I wanted to start a business, right? That was there inherently, Gujju mind, right? And second thing, I think Gujju superpower is that the entire happiness, being happy part of it, right? Like they're typically happy, they are typically socially active. There is good support from friends and family, and like your problem you can discuss with a distant cousin also, right? So that is a superpower actually most of Gujjus are powered with, because it is so socially connected and it is so open, right? You can talk to your problems to a distant person, and he will help, he will advise or not advise, and most of the time they are rich also, so they give you money.
That helps, that really helps.
Right. So, but I think that, and also there's a lot of learning that gets shared. I think that is another Gujju superpower, right? You go to a wedding and you, let's say right now I go and some old uncle I'm sitting with, right? He'll ask every aspect of my business in very practical way, very old school way also, you can say. How do you get your customer? Yeah, I say I run performance marketing ad. What is it?
Wow.
How much does it cost? Like every small detail he will understand, right? And though he's like 55, 60 years old, he understand entire thing. And that way, like, you meet with him, he's like encyclopedia of all type of businesses, like what are the gross margin, right? If you do, let's say, brick making business, what are the gross margins? If you do trading, grain trading, what are the gross margins? So that is like good knowledge you can put with, like, gathered with mutual experience.
Right. That's actually a superpower, right? So I'm guessing friends and family have played a very important part in this journey in supporting you, whether it's financially or emotionally, or so the journey. I'm guessing they would have really been a part. This whole Gujju family ecosystem that you have.
Definitely, like I think obviously the biggest contributor is wife. Because she earns, you do stuff you like, right? So wife is the biggest supporter, and then you go through whatever you say, right? You can put a philosophy, but money is mind is monkey, right? So it's not that you will not go through tension. You will go through tension, and a lot of time it happens that you go through it when you are at home or lonely, right? Not when you are around or when you are in the company. So she also go through that entire thing. Plus, day you are working, night you are thinking most of the time, because you are working, you are busy, and then you have to have your own time to think, and a lot of decisions have to be taken. So that also eats away a lot of mutual time, right? So biggest contributor is obviously wife. Then for me, my father has always supported. A good part is, like, till very recent he was working. Right now also he's working, but he's retired from the job. There's a business now, but there was always support, right? There was always helping hand when you need it type, and that really helped. Then my cousin brother also helped me initially financially as well, and then always mentally, right? So that actually makes easier to do things.
I think one very interesting thing that you talked about, which is the monkey mind, right? And that's something I think almost all of us suffer from, and I think founders especially, because there is just so much that is juggling in your mind, whether it is money, whether it is product, whether it is team, sometimes it's legal, whatever, right? Like there are a lot of these things, right? So what's your journey been there like, and have you figured out any ways to kind of keep that monkey mind in a little bit of a cage so that it's not jumping all over? And how has that affected you also, right? Like how has that monkey mind helped you travel this journey?
Yeah. So see, actually, so before this starting, right, I do the psychology course by this Yale University course on Coursera, and then actually I realized the importance of the tension also, right? Like that entire anxiety has its role to play, right? The role is making sure that we don't fail, right? And so entire anxiety or monkey mind is also has a role to play. And when you look at it, right, you look at it in an aware way, saying that it has also its role and it is also important. At the same time, having a tag of monkey mind, right? Like you know that it will jitter, it will do it, but then it is like you have a lot of thoughts going in, and you little bit come out and say, I know it. This should happen, type of thing, right? So I don't know if I put it across properly, but having that also is important, because you should tag it, saying that it is a monkey mind, right? And it is something that is jitter, but it has its own importance in your life, because if you are not anxious, you are ignorant, that is also not good. So some amount of tension is required. At the same time, you should come out and able to see it. Like you, basically, it's like when you are in the flow, you should be able to come out of it. Right? That is, I think, the most important part, where you should not emotionally drain into that, but and overly run with anxious thing. But the anxiety comes, then you should be able to come out and say that I know why I'm anxious and it is important, and you should be able to come out of it. I don't know how I
makes sense.
Explain, but
this is very interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is that your ability to watch this monkey mind, that you're able to see this anxiety that you're having or this mind jumping, that itself is like a superpower for you to go through this journey. I think that's a... And
I'll say one episode, right? Like, so 2018 we built that proto, it was cooking nicely. 19 we got a lot of interest from the cloud kitchen, so we were planning to go completely B2B, saying that it is easy, already people are coming in giving us LOI for $1 million type, right? So we had Swiggy Cloud Kitchen, Eat Fit Cloud Kitchen, Rebel Food Cloud Kitchen. We were discussing and there was a good interest on this, so we are like, let's do it, right? And then when 2020 COVID came, their business were low, but more than that, what they figured out is eventually in an unpredictable time, they have to go for cold chain to survive this business, or the demand, varying demand, right? So even you have automation, you have maybe it solved the labor and the consistency problem, but it can't solve the food wastage problem, because if you are cooking fresh every time, it doesn't get sold, it is waste, right? And that can kill their business. So eventually all those post-COVID, those businesses were gone, and this is something we were completely relying on. So that was a one tense period, obvious, in that time, saying that what if we have put 1.5 years on it and now it is going, right? And it's hard to watch that, but so I also went through little trouble that time, but eventually came out, right? So and one of the other things that helped me with Nosh is I started Nosh. We had few early engineers who joined in, like Venkatesh, Kushal and Abhishek. So they have been there, right, for very long time. Even with I'm not able to pay salary on time, they have been there and they treated it as their own product, right? So that really helped me to go through this kind of problem also. Like, what should we do? So this like till 2021 we were 4 people practically.
Okay.
Right.
And now you are 40.
Now we are 40. But that closeness, that it was like 4 founder kind of way only, though they were employees, but they helped me go through this time, I would say.
Correct. And you mentioned that you were working on something, and then when kind of COVID settled, that product was not relevant anymore.
Yeah, because all the cloud kitchens went for cold chain, basically make it in food in factory, pack it in, supply to cold chain, and then just regenerate. Regenerate could be microwave or tossing on the tawa for some time and then give it to customer, right? So that has been the behavior post COVID. Almost all the cloud kitchen operate like that right now.
Okay.
So
that's when your product
became irrelevant. Because if they are making food factory anyways, right? Then this
Fresh
was designed for fresh cooking at restaurant outlet.
Got it. So this was also maybe, for you to let go, right? Like you had to kind of let go of that attachment in a way. Is that?
Yeah, obviously, and that's what the tension was about, right? So the part was good part of this product, the consumer product, was not completely sidelined, even when we are mostly focusing on that, because inherently what happened in hardware is you develop something, it go for manufacturing, and then you are waiting for it. So we were like doing both the projects.
So the retail one and the one for these
B2B.
cloud kitchens. Okay.
So obviously retail was more like, since we started with that problem, let it go. How well we can do it, let's see.
Okay.
Right. So we keep developing it on that side.
So you're developing both in parallel, the retail one and the B2B one, and then you have to let go of the B2B one after COVID because
it was not relevant.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I didn't know this, most of these cloud kitchens that they actually pre-cook and keep it in the cold storage and then just warm it up and give. So it's not really fresh cooked food.
Most of multi-brand, multi-city brands, right? You will be eating 10 days old food. At least.
Okay.
It could be a 1 month also. Because they have to make consistent taste across India. Right? And how do you do that? So you have to cook it, freeze it, and then supply to different places, and then you can recreate it at the outlet.
Okay. Got it. So now your strategy is completely retail now. Focusing and
B2C.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, like what's how are you looking at distributing a product like this?
So far it has been all pre-orders, right?
Okay.
We will be going on Amazon soon.
Okay.
So pre-order and D2C, like on our website was the main thing. Right now also main business is on our website. Now we'll go on Amazon soon, and it will take us some time to go pure retail. But pure retail, more than for us, actually the biggest thing is, it's not about where people will buy. It's about how they can experience it. Right? So typically every person who want to make purchase, they want to taste the food, they want to see the product, because it's an unbelievable product. Like you don't believe it in first sight, right? Like how true it is. So so that is something we are figuring out, having multiple places where user can walk in, experience the product, and then they can buy online. Online buying is not a problem as I see, but they want the experience of the product. So we are still figuring out that.
Correct. So Yatin, this is interesting. I want to come back to your journey, but before going there, I believe there are some misconceptions also around the product. What I heard from Amit, and I would love to hear what these misconceptions are, and maybe you can clear the air around them.
Yeah. So the biggest, actually we have two ways misconception. Okay, so one is it's like too positive. Too positive means when you say cooking robot, right? So people assume that they're getting a person who can cook, right? So they're like, it will make roti, it will make idli, it will make dosa, it will make sabji, it will make everything. So what Nosh can do is it can make anything and everything you cook in a pan, right? So so it can make roti, it can make dosa and idli and stuff. So anywhere you have to give shape, right? It doesn't do that. So that is one kind of misconception we are dealing with, because people come in assuming that, and then we have to make them aware, saying that this will do only this, and not, it will do your sabji, dal, rice, but not your roti or dosa. So there is one part of it. Second part of it is people believe that it can cook the recipe it has. Like maybe we have like 100 recipe listed on website, and their assumption is this is only it can make. But you can create your own recipe. You can edit those recipe. You can, and we are also adding more and more recipe every month. Almost 50 recipe a month we are adding. So that is something that is something we have to educate them. So yeah, we have both type of people. So, but people who are really enjoying it is so typically two use cases which are very strong right now. Right, is one is the dual working with kid without kid use case, where both are working. They need good food, but they are also choosy, and they don't trust the outside food at all. So, or not so much. So they want to cook by, they want their ingredient to be used for cooking. So that's one segment that works very well for us. Like 60% of our customers are like that right now. Second is we call it craving warriors. So basically their food is getting cooked at home, but not everyone in the family likes that. So they want to eat something different, right? And right now this is true for most of the well-to-do upper middle class kid who are like 10 grade plus or even 8 grade plus. So they don't eat your sabji roti dal. They want to eat something exciting, because now these people have traveled on different countries. They also experience different cuisine, and this is what they talk about in the school, right? So they want to eat something different all the time. So that is a case also. For that reason also people are buying, where instead of ordering on Swiggy, it will be from their ingredient. They get a what do you call it, indulgence food. So could be khao soy, chili chicken, to your ramen, all those things. So you want to eat different things, pastas. So those things are cooked in Nosh. So anyway, there's a home cooking happening, but some people in the family want something exciting, so they are eating this.
This kind of initiated a thought in me. I've this whole concept of food has always been like, I've been very curious about this concept of food, and I'll tell you why. Because of course food is very integral to us, right? It's one thing that you do 2-3 times a day at least for most of us. And what modern age, if I can use that word, right, especially what the last decade or two has done, is it's increased the distance between food and the human being. And that's my own kind of realization, or my own philosophy on this, is that the distance between a human and a food is increasing, right? Like earlier, we were much closer to the food, whether it was growing that food, cooking that food. And what culture, society, technology has done is increase that distance, right? Now, most of the times you're ordering food and it's just coming pre-packed. So you don't know what ingredients are going, you don't know how it is cooked. You made a revelation that, many times it is frozen, right? So I think what you are doing is, in my opinion, at least, you're kind of bringing us closer, a little more closer to food.
Yeah.
Again, right? By removing the inconvenience of having to cook it ourselves, but at the same time, you have some control over the ingredients, the way it is being made, and some sort of customization that I can do. So that's very interesting. And I remember seeing this video, I think maybe 1 or 2 years back. I think it was China, and they were showing a fully automated kitchen. You must have seen it, I'm sure, right? Like, wahan pe sab kuch, everything automated ho raha hai. So I was wondering that, when you think about Nosh and the product range that you will be creating, like, what is the future that you are envisioning? I know today you have this one machine that is cooking what can be cooked in a pan, but what else is cooking in your lab?
Yeah, so for me, actually, the next two big problems that we are focusing on, one is the chopping, meaning what kind of automation we can bring in chopping so that preparation work also reduces, or the ingredient which are always need to be chopped just before cooking. So can we do something there? So that is the chopping is one of our focus. Second is the roti. Roti is such my pet project. I wanted to work on it, and every time Amit is stopping me saying that you should focus. So the moment, let's say, we are waiting for something, and my team is a bit free. In fact, I had this discussion with Samir also one time. Like, my team is free for a month. Can we start roti project? And Samir also said that you focus, right? So right now, roti is something that I want to do. And there has been roti automation product, but maybe a different approach can be brought in, is the thinking.
Okay.
And because it's a science and technology, it's not the first thing that works, but it's like the best thing that works, right? So sometime if only one company is operating, then they think on one way. But if you have multiple companies, there are more innovation actually comes in because they think different ways.
Right.
So yeah, these two are obviously the next thing. Still, our focus will remain on Nosh currently, maybe about here, because we want to so first batch of production versus it's being a scalable, manufacturable product, right? So that is something we want to do. Supply chain, quality, service, customer support, all those things we want to properly establish. And what happens is reaching 90% is one part, right? And then 90 to 99% is where there is a lot of hard work goes in. And if I start something exciting, my engineers will be always want to work on something exciting, but not finish up the last 9% of it.
Right. I know, I completely. That's been my experience also. So makes sense. Awesome. So, Yatin, coming back to your journey of building Nosh. So you mentioned that there have been some pivotal moments in the journey, right? Like one you mentioned post-COVID, when you realized that this whole B2B, you need to kind of let go, right? Then the struggle of maybe raising capital, right? That's been so. Wanted to know how have those. I mean, generally, it's these challenging moments, these pivotal moments that kind of have a lasting impact on us also, right? So, what would you say has been your what have been your learnings in the process, and what have you discovered about yourself in this journey? Maybe something that you wouldn't know before you started this company, some things that you've discovered about yourself, I think.
Yeah, there's so one thing I know, right? And all those cases, let's say when we are going for B2B to like when B2B was not working out, right? So monkey mind would take over, right? And you normally be a little bit more angry and get short tempered during that time. But once you keep take it rest, right, it will, then again you will come back. So that was one part. And mostly you get, so anxiety definitely take over, because finally every emotion is like, what should we do now, right? And it kind of help also, as I mentioned, right, anxiety also is important, because when that happened, this happened around I would say September 20, right, September 20. And then but we were, so funny story is, right, I'll tell you. So 2019 December is something, we signed a contract with Itfit, and we were supposed to have the first, we build a lot of technologies, because their problem was little different. So we built a lot of technology, and we were supposed to demonstrate on FabBand to the team, to entire management, saying that how it's going to work. So it was like mechanisms, but not the full product, but in the core part of this But then due to COVID, that meet got cancelled, right? And that was the first time COVID impacted us. Right. Then I think in few days there was a lockdown, and so during the lockdown also we had our B2C product first version was ready. It had just arrived. I was programming it, and COVID hit. I couldn't go to office for 2 months, and then we made it in milestone, thinking that anyway it's a first thing, it will not go to customer. Let's figure out all the problem and we'll build next one. So, but 2 months it just stayed there, so it rusted. By the time we go back, it was like fully rusted. So, but during that COVID time, before COVID, that contract was signed. So during COVID time, entire development for B2B happened, like March, April, May. The Bangalore started. We were building it. We were building prototype of it. August, we had like a working system ready for demo. It was breaking now and then, but it was ready for demo. And so we were ready for demo, and then I called Itfit team, and then they said it might not be taken forward, because their entire supply chain has moved to cold chain. So so that was because entire COVID period we were so much emotionally putting the effort, like where everything was closed. May, June, July, where people were not going out, and we were at manufacture place, manufacturing it aggressively. So it was kind of heartbroken there, but yeah, but finally good thing is we got to know, and then we pick up the B2C product, and by December we started trial of B2C product. So so in a way I would say the most productive year has been 2020, because of anxiety. Right, COVID came in, we don't know what to do, we are like, okay, let's work. And everyone was like, manufacturers were empty, they don't have no business, they were also working for us easily. So we had the kind of good empty highway during that time, because everyone was down and we were rushing.
Wow, interesting. Got it. So what I'm hearing is that this journey, the anxiety kind of has helped you push certain boundaries, push certain limits, and has helped you get there. But at the same time, also watching that anxiety mind has kind of kept you on track, has helped you sustain through all these ups and downs and come to where you have. Got it. So what's the path ahead, and what are you looking at moving forward?
So path ahead is build adoption, meaning having a product to building the adoption for it, right? Like this is future vision product. So when people look at it, know it, like get to know about it, they don't trust in the first go. And we are focusing on building the adoption for this, where people adopt the product and people start using it more, and it fits people's life, right? So that is the next thing for us. And that's why, like, even this product, we continuously monitor the usage, what problem they are facing, because our next thing is how we build adoption for this product.
Right. So you have some remote adoption monitoring tools in place.
Like how many people time they are using, if they are not using, why they are not using.
Got it.
A lot of family dynamics also at play sometime, and like it's an interesting thing to know. But our idea is like, being this, you sitting next to me, why you are not thinking about it, and what is preventing, and when it will be ready for adopt, what are the use cases for which you'll purchase. So that is now the journey. Like, how do we build adoption for it?
Got it. So I have, one last question maybe, and nowadays, because that's the theme, no discussion is complete without this. But how do you see some of the new technologies that are coming in, especially the high compute speed, and on top of that, the large language models, AI, etc. Do you see that playing a very crucial role in the development of the product that you're building? And maybe even accelerate, because of what is happening, because of this is a lot of industry is accelerating at a rapid rate. So how do you see the role of some of these new technologies such as AI, Gen AI, etc. in your?
So they are excellent tools, right? Like that is helping. So I would say this tool gives a startup wings like a big company, right? Because let's say programming, you need not have like a huge workforce who are doing the coding. You are able to manage with limited resources.
Are you already doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like it actually helps because it reduces the debug time. You don't have silly mistakes. Right. So we are actually building a methodology of coding which is based on LLMs now. Saying that, what if we don't write the code and just we get code written by the LLMs only?
Okay.
Meaning, so because you don't have to then debug one variable mistake that you'd made, or a wrong assignment. All those small challenges won't come. Secondly, graphic design, video creation, right? You have idea, you put it in, it will come through. The entire big suit budget used to allocate for a same message not required anymore. So business side, that is a big case. Even in the product, we are trying to integrate, saying that can people say something briefly and it create the recipe for it, right? So also the dish discovery, when you are trying to find a dish. So typically it's a complex journey because you have to figure out what ingredient you have and based on that, right? So can LLM be used there? So we are planning to make it integral of the product as well, so that customer get great experience. Obviously customer support and all are the easy low hanging fruits, but in fact this discovery, the discovery part of it also we are planning to put in.
Got it. Interesting.
So it's very powerful, I would say, because a small company suddenly have power of almost like a large size company.
No, that's a very, I think, very powerful thing that I've heard. I mean, I haven't heard this before, where you're saying that it's basically giving wings to a startup the size of a large company. That kind of wings you get, and that's a very powerful thing to say, and something that for all of us to reflect on, I feel, right? That how to use it to the best way possible. So thank you, Yatin. It's been very interesting hearing about your journey, and I've seen your product only in a video. I'm really looking forward to
next SM Meet. Will definitely demo.
I would love to come and take a demo and try it out. I think something very useful for someone like me and many of us, I think. So I'm very excited about the future of Nosh and the product suite that you're building, and how people take to it, and how that changes behaviors in houses and kitchens, and our relationship with foods. I'm really excited to see that. All the best with what you're building, and thank you so much.
Thanks. Actually, it was amazing interaction because you really asked very relevant and some of things, right? I have never spoken. Some of the aspect that I spoke today, I've never spoken with anyone type, right? So yeah, it was great talking.
Thanks, Yatin. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching this episode. We'll be back with the next episode of SM Studio soon. Thank you.